Well, mate,
I'm definitely satisfied.
it's been a bloody. It's such an awesome insight, mate, JC. It's been really, really cool.
It's been fun, guys.
Appreciate your time.
No worries,
I hope you enjoyed as much as we did.
it was a lot
awesome.
easier. I thought this is going to be. I didn't know what to expect.
Is
but
it-
easy to talk to you guys.
Yeah, sweet.
Easy to talk.
I'd like final question, like Powderfinger aside, you personally, would you like to play with the band again? Righto, you good?
100%.
JC, you're sweet.
Good to go.
Good to go.
Yeah, engines on.
Righto. Welcome back to another episode of TradeMutt's 120 Grit, the podcast for the working class. Nearly fell over that
Yeah, you
one.
didn't quite get that out, did you?
Today we always have a special guest in, but today we've got a very, very special guest in.
Thank you.
There's any number of ways you could be introduced, but mate, as a bass player for Powderfinger, I think the fact that Powderfinger outdid the Red Hot Chili Peppers in Triple J's Hottest 100 makes you a better bass player than Flea.
Oh,
so
absolutely. I don't wear nappies yet either.
welcome to the studio.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Great to be here. Cheers.
Mate, this is it's a really, really special to get you in here because obviously it's not often that you get insight, you know, from the bass player of one of Australia's most prolific rock bands. So, and unfortunately, we've brought you to Stanley Street,
Oh, not far from where we used to rehearse and write. Actually.
parallel to Vulture.
Yeah. No, actually, we had 2 doors down. Also, Hoggy used to live here.
Really?
Yeah, on the corner there. So I knew sort of roughly where you were. That's where we
Bullshit.
play cricket.
Yeah,
And
right.
That's where I think we wrote Internationalists.
That's very bloody cool.
There you go.
Full circle.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Back in the hood.
Yeah, right. So this is going back. How long ago are we talking?
Oh, that would be in 98.
98?
Yeah, 97, probably writing and recording there. We had a little studio downstairs, and that's where Hoggy first had his taste of studio, airlock studio. So, yeah, we had a lot of fun. We'd go and record, write, go and a bit of recording, play cricket at lunchtime, and then go back and do another session in the afternoon. It was good fun.
Jeez, that sounds like a shit time.
We always
It was
said
a lot better. It's great. I wish I knew how good it was. I didn't realise at the time.
We always said we'd play cricket in our warehouse, but now we've got no space.
You
Yeah,
got too
we're
much
running
stuff in here.
space.
Yeah, this would be great. You know, we've got warehouse and we'll be able to have a little lunchtime hit.
Lunchtime hit. They used to throw some down, and they used to put it in right on the nuts for me. They had the in swinger to the balls going for me.
Yeah, right. So what was the dynamic here? What are you, a batter or a bowler?
I was a batter. So Burner was a really quickie. He was a big quickie, so he used to just an extra yard of pace.
Bit of chin music?
Oh, a lot of chin music. We, taped up ball with the tape and the skinny bat and in swinger to the nuts, always the one.
I've never perfected the art of making the tape stay on the ball longer than
enough, no.
a couple of overs.
They went hard. They went after me pretty hard.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. So yeah, true Aussie rock band. Just it's playing cricket in your spare time.
Yep. It was
There you
good
go.
times.
Iconic. So you were was it Brisbane Grammar?
Yes.
Brisbane Grammar lad?
Yep. I was a boarder.
Yeah, right.
Right in the country for I think from 2, and then I went to boarding school at age of 14, and my parents then moved to Brisbane in the last year.
Yeah,
I
right.
became a Brizzo.
Whereabouts were you before that?
Bow Desert.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Okay, nice.
So, grew up on sort of we weren't farmers, but grew up on a farm with a KX80, and I was an acid rev head, and drove Kingswood when I was 8.
That's living.
And, yeah, it was good country boy. On the
Yeah,
paddock, used to
nice.
camp out in the forest and play up a little bit.
Yeah, unreal.
Mm.
How was boarding school, G?
It was pretty good in the end. It's not great when you're younger. It's a pretty tough existence. It was way different from what it is these days. Like, there was some absolute thugs.
Yeah.
Like, you'd see young kids getting beaten up.
Yeah.
From grade 12. It was disgusting, actually.
Yeah.
We, thankfully, when our senior year, I had a mate of mine who was a house captain, and as a group, we took it upon ourselves to stop that behaviour, because it's pretty offensive. You send your kid to a school and they get beaten up by someone who you're not even supposed to be an authoritarian. So so we changed it, and it was good in the end. I liked it. In the end.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
You don't hear that very, very often. You sort of make a little vigilante group against
we said this is bullshit.
Yeah.
This is ask Marto. He would know all about it. So it's just those things. Marto was Greg Martin. He was
Yeah.
he was boarding house master.
Oh, was it?
So I've known him for a while.
You're kidding.
No.
How
so,
good's that?
yeah. Anyway, no, we made a difference, but it was good. In the senior year, it's great because you're at school. I used to check out every weekend my grandparents' place in Taunton, go to the regatta and
Yeah, nice.
RE, and so when you could.
Cut your teeth, yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Did the RA used to stink back then?
Yes, it always has.
What is it with that joint?
Well,
I need
it's
to-
just never shut. It never
never
gets
time to
cleaned.
clean.
Yeah,
I need to
clean it.
Febreze the carpet or something.
Those half-price spirits on a Wednesday, that's dangerous stuff.
Yeah, do they still do it? We digress.
We do digress.
Was it? When did music come about for you?
I was always a fan of music growing up. I had piano lessons for a while, and then my piano teacher left town. So my mum organised a guitar lesson for me, and I was so pissed off. I'm like, no, I don't want to play music. I want to play rugby league. And the lesson was right in the middle of Main Street of town, so I was really embarrassed if anyone saw me going to have a guitar lesson. And the two guys that ran the place, they looked like Ned Kelly. They had the big mountain beards. They were like bushwhackers, into red gum and all that sort of stuff. And after that lesson, I just loved it. They were awesome. So I said, yeah, this is the best thing I've ever did. So I just started playing a bit of guitar, and then we trundled off to boarding school and kept playing. And the guy next to me that moved, he came from Mackay. His name's Bish, and he was a drummer. So this is perfect. Got a guitarist and a drummer already. So we became mates, and then we started a school band called The Eternal in grade 10 with some mates. It was like Joy Division, New Order. We were pretty shit. I was the worst electric guitarist ever. We did that for a while. Played a couple of gigs. Played at the original Outpost when I was 16, and I was a boarder. So the boarding house master said, just whatever you do, don't go and get pissed, and don't wake up the headmaster. So I kept one of those contracts, so I didn't wake up the headmaster. And it was a Tuesday night, so back in by 11:30, and and then after school, I met Hoggy at school as a guitarist, and we started talking. So, and just sort of the Eternal fell apart. A couple of guys went off to interstate and started talking to Hoggy and Bish. We became Powderfinger straight after school.
Yeah, right. How was the first gig? How was your first gig with
At the Outpost?
Yeah,
It was pretty good. It was scary.
Yeah, were you shitting yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
16-year-old, it would have been
16.
pretty intimidating with all these pissed,
Well, it wasn't many people there. That was a good thing.
With all these pistons.
Yeah. But it was weird because the Outpost back then was we think there was a casino upstairs, a legal gambling casino. It was like the hub of Valley in the 80s. It was. You knew it was like what the Cross would be like if you
George Freeman and his
right
and his
in the guts
it's
there.
right in the guts,
Yeah.
and the strip clubs next door, and it was all pretty seedy, but that was cool.
How did you get there as a 16-year-old? Like, how was the gig booked?
Older brothers drove us in cars and stuff like
But
that.
I mean, like, how did you get the slot?
I don't know how we did that. I
That's
just turned up.
that's so cool.
Yeah, it was good. It was good fun.
Yeah, right.
And we did a couple other gigs there on the weekends and stuff, and Ian's band played a couple gigs there as well. So yeah. It was probably a bit more relaxed than it is these days.
Yeah, right. Very, very cool. And then, when did you meet Bernard?
We were a three-piece for a while, and Hoggy was at uni, and he met Bernard. They started going to this band called Bourbon Street. You ever heard of those guys? They do like Led Zeppelin, Neil Young covers.
Yeah, right.
And they'll play like the Coast and all that sort of stuff. And Hoggy was totally into Zeppelin, so was Bernard. And they started talking at that, and then they saw each other at uni. And I'd met Bernard some party somewhere along the lines. He was about this. He was half the height he is now. He was a little fella then, and sort of knew him through mutual mates and stuff. So and then Hoggy invited him to come over to see if he wanted to try out as a guitarist, and said, "Can you sing?" He said, "I don't know. I'll give it a go," and sang. And Hoggy said, "Do you want to sing in the Powderfinger?" Came along and tried out. And I still remember the first day he tried out. It was Bish and I and Hoggy were at the university when I was out at St. Lucia University, when Triple Z was out at St. Lucia, and we had one of their rehearsal rooms, and then I had this bass amp, and then Bernard sang. The first song was Like a Hurricane, Neil Young, and after about 25 seconds, I looked at Bish, we went, "That's pretty good." And then my bass amp blew up, and that was the end of rehearsal. So yeah, it was like, time to pack up. You're in. Done.
So you knew you were onto something there as a band? Did you think?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he just had a different tone and Hoggy was singing until that point, but we're a bit more, I suppose, a bit more three-piece thrash or something. I don't know what we were, and but yeah, it just he seemed to have the right tone that we were looking for, and so we just started from there as a four-piece.
That's so cool. So Hoggy, was that something he was happy to relinquish?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's the accidental singer. So, yeah.
To think that Bernard wasn't confident in singing, it's pretty cool.
It's
insight.
weird, eh? I mean, he
It's
didn't
like-
know. Yeah, it's good though. I'll give it a go. Like he didn't. I don't think he's ever had lessons. He's had breathing lessons, but nothing
You just got that
not
tone.
Yeah, I think lessons would probably spoil it
Yeah.
too. You know, make
Yeah.
it too perfect. Or
It sounds like you're all sort of multi-talented, sort of.
oh, they're pretty talented. Yeah, I just play bass. That's all right.
Yeah, everyone's following the bass player, mate.
Yeah, that's
Don't
right.
remember
You need the bass.
that. Bloody oath you do.
Totally.
And so I guess you just started gigging around Brisbane as Powderfinger, but were you breaking the mould at the time?
I'm not sure if we were. There's a lot of bands, you know, around the place, like the Tellers, Toxic Garden Gnomes, all these, you know, Aloha Pussycats and all these bands. We're just all playing.
Toxic Garden Gnomes.
Oh, they were huge. It was awesome. And we were just playing gigs at the Orient and just wherever you get some shows. And you know, it was, I don't know if we're breaking ground, but at least we were having a crack. So, and then I think after that we thought we'd need another player to fill in some gaps, and so we have found Darren someone saw Darren doing a solo on top of a table with his mates around him. So we need that guy. So yeah, Darren jumped from another band to join us as well. So yeah, and then after that we started taking a lot of rehearsals and taking it pretty seriously.
So was it something were you all at uni? Was everyone?
Yeah,
at uni?
I was doing some. Darren was doing something different. Yeah, Hoggy and Bernard were at uni. Bish was living at Gatton doing something ag course up there or something.
Yeah,
and I was doing art. I was doing graphic art in Brisbane.
Yeah, right. So you guys, obviously, were you guys working as well to supplement all this stuff going, or were you getting paid with these gigs pretty early
we
on?
weren't getting paid. No, it takes a long time to get paid.
Yeah.
So, I think we're all working like just in normal Hungry Jacks and stuff between courses, and that's what I was doing. Serving burgers at Tarragindi. That's right, Taringa.
Making ends meet.
Making ends meet, exactly.
Yeah, amazing.
That's a very famous Hungry Jack's, that
It
one,
is a good
actually,
one,
isn't it? Yeah.
Some really cool people came out of there. Not me, but lots of other cool people.
Yeah, right. So
There's a lot of music people used to work there. It was really a music hub, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, it was
That's
pretty
it. Ziggy lives across the road from there now these days.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, just in the
Right.
little grass patch there. A lot of famous people in Brisbane.
Yes, very famous.
Yeah. So how did you? I guess the rise of Powderfinger. You know, how did it start to really sort of come together for you guys and look like you could make a go of it?
Yeah, I think we decided, I think at some stage that don't go to work, this is your job sort of thing, let's go and rehearse. So we started rehearsing sort of 4 times a week at least, and then we're travelling, we're doing every 6 weeks, we'd jump in a car and drive to Melbourne or Sydney and play shows, just consistently keep playing shows every 6 weeks, trying to build up a bit of a following. And just recording and we wrote a lot of stuff, and then we recorded our first EP, which is we put out in '91, and we played the launch at the Orient, and it was the first time I've ever seen anything. It was a great night. There was about 350 people in the room, and there was about another 150 outside, just on the footpath, because they couldn't get in. And everyone was passing beers out, and it was like one big crowd. And that was our album launch. So
That is awesome.
yeah, it was a good night.
Are you talking to the Orient?
Yeah, where Johnny Ringo's is now.
Oh, righto.
Yeah, okay.
Righto.
The drums, the drummer used to sit right in the corner, and
What a location.
it was good fun. Yeah. So, and from there, I think that we sort of then okay, we can, we got, I think no radio play, but people started coming to our shows. We started having about sort of 500-600 come to our performances when we do it in Brisbane. So that sort of gave you enough confidence to take it down to Sydney, Melbourne, and start touring.
So is that I guess that'd be the only way you'd be able to know if you had a following, is if people just turn up, because
you have no idea.
There's no Instagram followers.
There's no Spotify or not getting followed, nothing like that.
Yeah, how were you just hoping that they'd just tell all their mates how good you were, and then hopefully they'd rock up next time?
Yep. You hope 1 + 1 is
word
two,
of mouth,
or equals 3. You know what I mean? Whatever it is, you just word of mouth saying, and then with that you get picked up by you get picked up by some of the music mags might put you on the cover, and then that's really cool when you get that, and
that's awesome.
Then more people come. It's just that sort of old school.
How were you? So were you guys still continuing to doing uni, or you just giving uni away by then?
By then, I think most of us around that we all sort of got sick of it.
So how did you get like your folks on side and everything like that to say, hey, look, me and my 4 mates,
we're forming a band.
We're ditching uni and we're doing we're doing music full time.
Well, Bernard got excluded apparently, and from journalism for plagiarism, which he always thinks is funny. And his mother and dad, his parents said, okay, well, how many contact hours a week were you doing at uni? He said, okay, 25. Well, you need to be, when you're not in the band room with the band, you need to be in your room writing and listening to music. And he said, that's awesome. So he was pretty happy with that. We just did work hard though. We weren't those sort of guys who go, hey, we're in a band, it's cool, and we're just going to sit and bludge. We sort of realised that we weren't good enough as 5 musicians to go and make it. So we knew we had to work extra hard. So we rehearsed heaps and we wrote a lot and spent a lot of time together.
Yeah, I suppose that's a pretty important part. Is just you've still got to. Yeah, it's not just a natural talent you can just bust out whenever you've really got to put the time in.
You've got to be lucky as well. You know, you've got to work hard and be lucky, I think. So, we just put the effort in. But my parents were really supportive. They could see that was something I wanted to do. And, you know, we're probably 2021. So it wasn't doomsday.
Yeah.
You know, it was still enough time in life if it didn't work to maybe grab some other career.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What was the thinking? Were you thinking like, oh yeah, like we want to be, you know, one of Australia's greatest ever rock bands, or were you just like, we just want to play music?
Just want to play music and try to be as good as we can. I mean, we were never one of those bands that were so driven by goals. I think we're really much a band that said we'll just take one step at a time. You know, sell out the Orient, tick. And next we'll sell out the Roxy one night. Let's tick that. Sell out the Metro. We'll do it. You know, next thing on the thing, we just have these little goals, little stepping stones. Not one goal of domination. It was never that world. I don't know what. We're not that sort of
bite-sized pieces.
Yeah,
right?
just because then you get lost if you don't make it. I think that you then you have to look back and say we didn't make it to where we need to be. We're just taking every, you know, and along the way the career does, you know, can stall as well, which did happen to us as well. So, and that's when you have to dig a little bit deeper and use your resolve, which I'm sure it's probably something you'd like to talk about.
Definitely,
you know?
without a doubt, for sure.
And that's one of those things. You know, I remember driving along the Hay Plain in '95. We had released our debut record, Parables for Wooden Ears. It was all right. It wasn't great. Didn't set the world on fire. Some record companies might have dropped us at that stage, but because we kept working, they kept us on. And I just remember being 25 thinking, shit, I'm in the back of this shitty van on the Hay Plain. It's 48 degrees. My other friends are in Europe. We've just got uni degrees. They're about to go and earn some money. I'm sitting here still popping Chico rolls for dinner, you know. But there's those times you need to dig deep and have that belief that you're doing the right thing. Because there was a lot of doubt amongst a few of us. You know?
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely. You'd be mad not to. You know?
Yeah.
I think if you don't have doubt or think about those things, that you're just blind, you know, to what's going on. I think we had to dig deep and know that we had to look at our situation and discuss it, you know. And we were always one of those bands that just talked about things. We're never sick of talking.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was one of those things, you know, you don't know. And then there's that period, sort of like 94 or 95, a whole year of sort of vagueness of where we're going to end up. And then you go and write a song, like Pick You Up, and it gets you out of that doldrums. Next minute you're flying. You're not driving on the Hay Plain between Adelaide and Brisbane. We drove from Cairns to Adelaide one week, and then we've driven from Adelaide to Cairns. And in the back of a car with no aircon, no CD player, and there was no iPods then.
That'd really test relationships.
It was very testing.
Wait, don't you just all sing along? Don't you just sing your own songs together?
Here we go again.
Just listen to the Potato Report on ABC. You know, that's what we used to call it.
Oh,
what the price of potatoes are as you're driving through a country town.
So yeah, you got.
Well, during those times when you're like, it's Shane 94, and that's you got a bit of self doubt within the band, or you know, are we doing the right thing? Shit, what are we going to do? What were people around you sort of looking in, thinking, oh God, I don't know what these guys if they're going to make it? You know, like
absolutely
people close to you, and you know,
when Bish left the band early on, he left before 1991, and my mates from school, they sort of bailed me up one night and said, mate, we're worried about you. Is this going to happen for you or what? I said, mate, well, I believe so still. You know, but my mates were like that for all the way, and they were talking to me. At the end of the day, you can't, I think for me, I just had to sort of go, well, I believe in what we're doing. I'm not one of those sort of people, you know, who if you dream big, it'll come. That's all bullshit. I don't fucking believe that shit for a moment. But
you can be anything you want to be.
I'm a snowflake.
Oh, jeez, I hate that shit, don't you? I'm sorry. But you do, at some stage, you have to have self-belief. It doesn't matter if you're a football player or a cricketer. I mean, look at a cricketer. You know, if you're having a bad season, what gets you out of a bad season is having self-belief and doing the work.
Yeah,
they've got to be the same combination.
And scoring bloody runs.
And scoring runs. That will help. Yeah. So, I mean, we always took a very much, I suppose I did particularly, a sporting analogy to our life and our band, because it's sort of the only way you could relate to a shit show is having a really bad back line that night, you know.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, nice.
You know, those things, because not every night you click. You don't know why you don't click sometimes. You know, I know that's another whole subject, but that's how we used to sort of talk to each other. You know.
So were you guys quite, you're talking about the communication thing that you guys talked a lot. Were you quite honest in, the direction and like, this is what we want to go and do, and collectively talking about it? Or we just sort of, someone was making a decision and we'd all just go with it? Or
No, we collectively talked about things a lot through our whole career. Even to the point, if we had a bit of a break after one record, and before going back in the band room, we said, let's go over and spend a few days together just at Stratty.
Yeah.
Just talking before you sit in the room and go, what do we do now? So we always talked about a direction and how we felt, what was our, like for instance, after Internationalists, we talked about what were probably our best moments on that record. I said, why don't we play to our strengths on the next record and make it more like that? We talked about these things and making a big sounding record or a rock and roll record for Vulture Street. We discussed that stuff.
Yeah, cool.
And everyone's got a different version of it though. That's where you got to find the common denominator. Is it what's your version? What's Cogsy's version?
That middle ground.
And that just comes with time and playing and discussion. So we always talk though.
Was there ever in amongst the band dynamic, like when you're sort of, deciphering situations, or was there sort of a leader amongst the crew that was sort of more kind of
the loudest people, the people? Yeah. I think there's a couple. 5 strong heads. I'd say Bernard and Cogsy probably the loudest.
You must have clashed a lot too.
We clashed heaps. Yeah, lots, but just part of. I think it's part of.
It's part of any good relationship, isn't it? Right.
Well, especially a working one.
Yeah.
And being artistic, there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
Necessarily. You can't say you're wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's up to interpretation.
That's the challenging part there, isn't it? Because you're right, there is no right or wrong answer, but it's if you've got completely divided opinions, it's about finding that middle ground somewhere and just conflict resolution, I suppose.
There was a few walkouts, don't worry. We had some walkouts. But for us, it was that happened a lot because, as I said, there was 5 passionate people in the room. There wasn't people just sitting there going, "Oh, okay, I'll do that." It was like, "No, I'm doing it my way, mate. You don't tell me what to do." So we had a lot of that, but with that comes conflict, but also comes a lot of conversations around how we move forward and how we deal with it.
Challenging each other a bit more.
It just seemed like we had to reset the clock a lot. So okay, let's reset the clock, and then you get bad habits again. You get annoyed, and sometimes you just had to step out. I remember recording Odyssey number 5, and for some reason, just felt really serious in the studio. It just felt like this is like, if we don't make this work, we're fucked. So what I mean. I don't know where that crept into our psyche. And Nick DeDeer, who produced 4 of our records, said, "Hey, follow us." The American guy, let's get the fuck out of here. Let's go and have a drink. Let's go down to the pub and have a chat. Because he just could see we were going nowhere.
Was there tension amongst yourselves?
Yeah, and I don't know why. Yeah. But there was a pressure we put in ourselves.
That happens throughout, everything, like families and just work colleagues and football teams. Sometimes that just does happen. Yeah, we have it here at work. Same thing, just like, holy shit, righto, we all need to just get out of here and breathe a bit of fresh air and figure out what's going on. Because, it happens quite easily.
It happens easily and happens a lot. But once we sort of understood that we can just step out, it was always a good thing because then you settle and then you come back into a calm place.
And there's no rush either. It's not like you're working to time constraints.
No, there's no rush. No, I mean, studio's a bit different because the studio paying for studio time, but not to the point where I want to stay here all night and get it right. Because at the moment, so there's all that point too with music. When you overdo it, it doesn't make it any better.
You start trying too hard.
Hard. It's just you can tell.
Was it? I guess if Odyssey number 5 was your next album after Internationalist, and it went so well, did you feel that like pressure to do better? Like
absolutely. Yeah, always. I mean, also that we also learnt very early on that not to, you're being from Queensland, you don't take, or being Australian, you don't take compliments too well. I don't think. We're in America, people going, you guys are going to be the next biggest thing. Just all this shit. You're going, man. I remember Bern and I got picked up to go and do some media, and it was a limo for 23 people could fit in a limo. We're driving New York, just Bern and I for the day. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. Put us in a cab. That'd be fine. Just go, you're eating $30 of pieces of sushi, and they just start to really
pump your tyres up.
Yeah. And you sort of have to go, we had to regroup and say, don't listen to the shit. Just don't let that shit get in your head.
Was that something that you were trying to, maintain your personalities and just keep
I
on
think
the...
so. I just also just for working, you don't. If you start believing that crap, then you might get carried away with yourselves or something. I don't know. It just didn't feel right for us as 5 individuals.
Well, that's pretty good that it was all of you collectively doing that, because it could have easily been a few people saying, fuck, this is awesome, let's soak this up, and a few of you going, hey, we need to hang back a bit. It's good that it was a collective thing.
I think just being Australian, you're a bit more sceptical about that sort of stuff, you know. I think the tall pop, you just don't want to be told how awesome you're going to be, because you're not yet.
It is a hard one. It is a hard one to take. Like, well, thanks.
What do you hate it? I just can't stand it. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Can I have a piece of $35 piece of sushi, please? You know, most expensive sushi I've ever had.
I guess it's easy to understand how, because this is another question around fame. Like, it must be, how do you stay grounded in those situations? It'd be so easy to understand how individual artists or, you know, artists could get carried away and just...
Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, I've never felt famous, so I still don't. And not being... It's a bass player thing, you know? You just don't feel it. I used to walk a few paces behind Bernard when we walked to a show, so I didn't have to talk to anyone. Let him soak it up. No. Mate, I don't feel famous, and I think we weren't that band that was... We weren't going to catwalk shows, and, you know, we're not in the New Weekly. We've never been those sort of dudes. So I think.
Well, I think it speaks to the authenticity of the you know, stage persona and just the band in general. It's that Australian style, I suppose. You're just kind of genuine, like we're just fucking doing it.
Well, it didn't help us out overseas. I remember one photo shoot in Denmark, and the lady goes, "Can you guys just try to look like a fucking band, please?" Okay, what does that look like? Okay, so yeah, pretty annoying. We didn't look like a classic because we didn't get. I don't know. Just people we're just a band.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't trying to be rock stars. We're just trying to be musicians in a band. I think that's the difference between a rock star and what a music and band is. So we were interested in playing good shows, having a bit of fun, but also, you know, and writing. Our thing that made us tick was writing good songs.
I suppose also what was probably really powerful for you guys was the reasons why you were doing it. When you, like you said, you were trying to be musicians, you're not trying to be a rock star, and by byproduct of just trying to be good at music, you know,
just trying to be a good band
means that you're
trying to be a really good band that write good songs. That's what really we're all about.
Yeah,
and I think the other stuff, like, you know, didn't come naturally. Wasn't fun for us. You know, going to the RAs and stuff was good fun, but, you know, that's the only sort of time we ever really had to deal with apart from on tour. And then when we're on tour, we're dealing with our people, our fans, and, you know, people who like the band. But all that other stuff, like going out and socialising and being seen with the right people, just didn't.
And it must be even harder now with, well, we touched on it before, like social media, but like it wasn't like that then. It was just personable back then, and, you know, live shows and actually, you know, meet and greeting people. But now you can't escape it.
It's amazing sitting at dinner. I think it was at the bar with Hoggy and I and Bernard having dinner with another mate, and guy comes up and goes, "I am a massive Fingers fan. Can I get a photo?" He said, and Bernard gets a photo. He had no idea who Hoggy and I was. So it's just like, can't be that big of a fan if you don't know the guitarist.
Yeah,
that happened all the time.
How good's that?
We just sit there and shut up.
So I get the impression that, like, I mean, although Bernard is the front man, you guys are like a very, like, in the band room, I suppose, so to speak, kind of very equal parts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, musically, yes. I mean, Bernard probably has a bit more to say in terms that he writes the lyric and does the singing. So, if he's come in with a song that's written on acoustic or something, you like to give him first bite of the cherry how you want it to sound or his ideas, because sometimes you go, I don't have a clue how I want this to sound. Can you guys just do whatever you want? And the other times you go, I had this idea, wouldn't mind making it sort of go this way. And so I think anyone who spends the time at home writing lyrics and melody and music should be given the opportunity to portray it how they want to portray it first, and then you go back and say, do we like that?
Yeah.
You know? So it was always moving. We always changed. Like then we'd go and write in 2s or 3s in the studio and come back and then collate next day, see what we've got.
Yeah, and right. Split up and come back.
Yeah, and some of the days we'd Bernard, stay home, write some stuff, write some lyrics. We'll just go in there and we'll just sit there in the band, come out with about 4 songs of bits of music that we just jammed. So stuff like that. We're just always trying to mix it up, and that's why it's probably why it sounds so different sometimes too.
Yeah,
some of the songs, it's not all one sound.
Yeah. So. I suppose it's pretty cool to hear that you guys didn't get swept up in all that hysteria and shit overseas. I mean, was there a point though, you know, playing at the Orient here in Brisbane and stuff, and then climbing through to playing internationally? Was there a moment when you guys like, holy fuck, we've got a bit going on here? Like we're actually,
this is actually happening. It's working.
Holy shit,
we've got a bit on here.
Yeah, but like was there?
We're in deep. We're in deep as. Yeah, I think for me, I think when we played the Crowded House farewell, that was one of the times that you realise that we played 130,000 people, something. No one knows the official number because it's free. But and we had to fly out that night because they postponed the gig, and we had a gig on a Byron, and we had to make that. It's just that when we got permission to fly out in our own plane, and we had to we on our own plane, which is pretty cool. You go, shit, how'd that happen? And we did a loop of the Opera House and saw how many people were on. It was just, and that Crowd House just gone on stage. You went, oh, okay, this is all right.
Wow.
That was in '96, I think. So yeah, and
that's unreal. I just imagine you're all up against the glass of the one side of the plane, like.
And then we had to go through a storm, land in Ballina in the middle of a storm right on the runway. We had 3 attempts at landing, all failed because the lightning hit the runway. We'd started drinking after the show, and we're singing La Bamba, and we thought we were going down. But anyway,
That's how all those movies are written, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Did you feel like you say that's a massive gig? That's a huge achievement. Did you feel like you belonged there? Like, or was it kind of like
it did feel good. That's probably the reason. I mean, there was UMI played and Custard played as well. So Custard played, and then UMI. It did feel like it felt like the right place to be. You know, I got pictures of it. And just people knew who we were, you know, and knew our songs. So it was the first time I think that you felt that. You know, we toured with UMI, and you could see it was starting to people. You know, as Tim would say, people started rocking up early to UMI shows to see you guys, and that's when it started to feel around that period, all that year. So it's a great feeling because that doesn't happen. You only get that once. You know, it didn't really happen like that when we started. Now you're on a national level. So it definitely felt great, and you know, also getting paid.
That would have helped.
That's really big help instead of counting cars.
Yeah,
getting paid, being able to buy a car, so you can get to rehearsal on time. Things like that. You know, just bought my first house in '96. Just stuff like that. Or built a house, my first ever house. It does make a huge difference when you're not driving from Adelaide to Cairns in the back of a car with no aircon.
Yeah,
flying. So
that's awesome. How did you, obviously the high that you get from playing, in front of massive crowds would just be indescribable, I'd imagine. But I would also imagine there's an equal low afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. There's a bit of a low. Yeah, I think, I know you just go to bed when you're low, but you do get a high. I always felt could never put my head on the pillow before 2:30 or something like that at night. I just wasn't ready.
Yeah, right.
So, you do. I mean, the lows are probably after a tour, you're so tired, you just want to rest. So you don't really necessarily get a low. I don't know about the low because the adrenaline stays high. I'm not sure if I felt a lot of lows. Just lows when things were shit. That's all. When things aren't right, and it happens. That kept on happening through our career. Like I remember being in Italy playing a show to about 15 people. This is horrible. What are we doing here? And I hurt my back. I was taking Valium and Pennine Fort to get through, and it was just like, what the fuck am I doing here? I shouldn't be here. I can't walk. I'm laying down in the band room. So the band put me on a flight because we were on tour bus that time. That wasn't working for me, so they put me on a plane, started flying me around. And my back got better, but I just remember being fucking depressed because it's not always that good. And we're playing to 5,000 in Australia, and we're playing to 15 in Italy.
What did they have you over there playing in front of that many people for? What was it?
It was just we got released through V2 in Europe, and that was just one of the places that didn't happen. So
okay.
At least we can holiday there. No one knows us.
Yeah, bloody oath.
So it must be like, how do you get up and put your game face on then in those times?
Alcohol.
Yeah, right.
No, just a few. You just got to. You don't really. You just got to. This is shit. I hate it.
But also booze.
For me, having a few beers.
Yeah,
it was the only way I could. If I'm not at home.
Yeah.
With my wife or partner, well, I'm going to try to make the most of it. That was the only way I could get around.
Having a good time.
Yeah, but not like
blowing out,
not like crazy.
Yeah.
But did it get like it must have? Because I mean, again, rock band, right? Like surely it did blow out from time to time. Do you know what I mean? Like,
of course, you have to.
But never, but like ever to a place where it was like out of control or a bit like?
Oh, there's times it got a bit out of control. Yeah, early on.
Yeah,
you
right.
know, where you do you'd probably do. You know, I remember in Melbourne we did 3 nights in a row, or 3 or 4 nights, 3 nights in one venue in a row, and because you don't have to get up and go travelling next day. I mean, we had what we call a wraparound. So
what's a wraparound?
We just don't get much sleep. So, and you know. And go to wake
like
up
a wrap rider in the sun. You just go.
Yeah. So and you'd sort of rock up the next night and you could get away with it. By the 4th night, you just can't get away with it. It's like, and after that, I didn't do it again. I said, no, I can't. I hated myself. I just actually hated myself because it's all you only got to. In those days, you only had to perform 1.5 hours a day. Just make sure you're right for that time. And when you're not, you sort of feel really disappointed that you let your band down. So
Yeah. Okay.
you feel like a bit of a knob. So,
Yeah.
Anyway, try not to do that too many times.
So as with like if you look at your albums throughout the career of Powderfinger, there's quite an obvious sort of like a bell curve almost in like I feel like the success of the albums from where you started, and then you had Odyssey number 5 was 8 times platinum, and then you guys got to, was it 2010?
That's when we finished.
And it was a bit like we've done, we feel accomplished.
Didn't know what else we could do.
Yeah.
You know, and is that where?
Yeah,
we said everything that we wanted to say.
Yeah. So like, how was everyone on the same page? Like, were you like?
Not 100%. I think Hoggy particularly would have liked to have just said, "Why don't we just take a 10-year break?" You know. Originally, he wanted to split up and not tell anyone until the last show. I said, "Well, if I was a fan, I'd want to know." If you're not coming back around again. I was sort of a bit of understood the reasons for both. I was open to the idea of not coming back. But it did feel like we had run our course a little bit. And I think, kids, everyone had their own private lives now. You know, we're not 25. Everyone's got their own lives and kids and want to do things, and it's really hard to maintain that through a work environment as well, and relationships so close that we had to run. I wasn't all agreed, but by the end of it we were. So
you sort of priorities kind of changed, I guess. Life, like personal circumstances change, and then I don't know. I'd imagine when you're 20s, you're like, yeah, we're gonna do this forever. Like we're gonna be rock stars forever.
Things like we used to treat each other so well, but also the way we treated each other in some terms was really quite crap, in the fact that, I know, my wife she had to go back in hospital after a baby. And once you check your baby out, you can't take them back in because they're in the page. So I had
no returns, mate.
You can't take them back.
Buy beware, mate.
Yeah. So I remember not even being in the rehearsal that week. I like it.
Caveat emptor. Oh God.
And having to go to this plan, and I also had to book in somewhere that you get induced.
Oh, yeah.
So it could fit into with our rehearsal schedule before Splendor.
Oh, you had to book in your wife for the pregnancy to be induced?
Yes, so that it didn't interfere with the Splendor rehearsals and
How far ahead of her? Like,
it was a week or two.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then I think Bernard's wife had a heart operation, and he had to come back for a show. You know, just certain things we just started going, you know what, that's not cool. We should be looking after each other a bit better than that.
How do you have that conversation with your wife? Like, I've got to...
Well, it's probably out of your control because it'd be the promoters and shit. Like, you guys have got a contract, you're supposed to be here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so...
I mean, when I got married, second phone call was to my manager to see when can I get married? You know, when's a good time? And then we were supposed to go back into a tour came up, and he rang me about 6 weeks later after the invitation's gone and said, mate, we might have to reschedule your wedding. I said, why? We're going back to America. I said, well, you can ring my parents and my wife's parents and take care of that.
Explain that, yeah.
And we didn't end up going because September 11 happened. But like that's how much we gave up. And like that's where I talk about the sporting person. You know, if you're an Australian cricket team, you work around those things and stuff like that.
How were you managing yourselves? Like, how were you looking after yourselves in those early days? Like, or was it sort of, we're rock stars, we'll just work till 2:30 in the morning, get on the beers, pass out, get up and do it again.
Bit of that.
And just hungry jacks.
Yeah, absolutely, all that sort of
Where
stuff.
stars are made.
Yeah, exactly. That was pretty much. But we had management, but management doesn't. It's not their job to look after you and put you in bed.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility and look after each other.
So it's sort of a maturing of age type thing, or where you got to a point where like, holy fuck,
Well,
we've got to really start looking after ourselves here?
Yeah, definitely when you start selling tickets for, just under somewhere like $80, the responsibility is the person coming along who's paid the money. So you've got to go.
Bit of front up here.
You've got to go. You've got to give them what they paid for, because they're not going to come back if you don't. And that's I suppose how we used to think about things. Just don't be. We're not 21 anymore and playing in a small bar. At $10 or $5 a head. So.
Did you guys get negative media throughout your career, like through
in the UK? Yeah, it's great.
What for?
Yeah, just hate us.
Really?
Why?
Yeah. Well, the UK, we think. I mean,
Just because you're Aussies.
Yeah, Aussies, and because they don't like bands coming over that have been discovered. The NME, they like discovering bands.
Oh yeah.
The best one I remember is that 200 years ago we sent our worst to Australia, and they sent us this shit back. it was like
Really?
Fucking get that, India.
Yeah. We loved it.
So they want to discover bands and be like, look here, this is what we've got. Whereas you guys are coming over saying, hey,
all
fuck
polished,
yeah,
ready to go.
Yeah.
So anyway, they didn't like us. Media in Australia pretty good, I think. By Brisbane media is probably better than Queensland.
They're going to be pretty friendly
They
on
were
you.
pretty friendly on us. So yeah,
Homegrown boys.
yeah. No, we had a pretty good run with media. I won't complain about that.
Yeah.
What about we're talking about managing I suppose your nutrition and everything like that, but how about like your mental state? Like how are you managing both individually and on a band sense of like keeping each other all on the same level and checking in with each other, or was it sort of just we all seem pretty fine, just keep cracking along with it?
I suppose it's those nights off that you sort of, or the late night. Like Hoggy and I, were pretty good mates, or are good mates, and the whole band. But we used to hang out after the shows, grab a bottle of wine, go to the hotel room, sit just whatever, might be us two and a couple of other guys from the crew, whatever. But that was time for us to discuss anything negative. Sometimes, and it was just those nights go and have dinner on a night off, get the team together and go and have dinner, and to have something positive instead of just always working, and positive experiences on tour is a really good thing. That aren't talking about just being gigs and drinking booze afterwards in hotel rooms, but just chilling out.
So trying to pull yourself out of that sort of rat race type. Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
and talk to friends. Sometimes we all had, most of us had partners.
Yeah.
Through their career. So
was it hard managing your partners? That would have been a nightmare too, being on the road.
Wasn't much fun, no. So, but those days, that was even before mobile, so it was pretty down. We were down there in the payphones and stuff like that. It was pretty weird.
So do you get to that point where it was like, it goes from being we're like a band making music to it's work, and it's like, oh shit, we're going to work again. Here we go, we're on the road. And like,
but it's you try not to make it too much work, because that's the thing. When the one wonderful thing about being in a band is it is work, but it's a good job. We're not digging holes. No offense to the guys out there doing it, but it's a lot easier than probably doing that, I'd imagine. So.
Oh shit!
You've got to
dug a few.
Dug a few.
But you've got to embrace that, and make sure you realise that you are in a good position. You are a lucky person. You're doing something you love. That's the bottom line. You're doing something you love. So, at times it became too much work. That's when we have to pull it out of that way and try to make it fun again.
So,
I've got a question about when you guys really started to make it, and I suppose the money started to really flow in. Right, how were you guys set up to manage, yourselves financially? Was it something where when it first started off, it's like, people that get into FIFO work, for instance, like they're on high salary, and then they got the new car, and they got the jet ski, and they got the boat, and they're going on swanky holidays. Like, were you guys managed to sort of by your manager and saying, hey, look, guys,
definitely. Our manager was really hands on and brought in an accountant from a company early on. We all sort of saw and set up companies and all that sort of stuff, and that accountant now works in the company. Was brought in as an in-house for our manager's company, his group. And, and still to this day, and we were brought into a couple of investments that were really good for us. We're part Splendor owners, and part of our to buy into that was performing, and that turned out to be a really good thing for us and financially. And we were managed really well, but not to the point where they drip feed you, or we're still adults. We're still got to be trusted with our own responsibility and money.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there was help there, and we continue to see the same accountant to manage all five of us.
And is that something you look back on now and you're sort of glad that happened?
Sounds like a very good decision, or like a smart
I think
play.
definitely good. Yeah, I mean, it still looks after us now, so it still looks after me now and stuff. So wish it was a bit more creative. That's all.
Yeah, nice.
A little bit more. Put something over there. Anyway,
Yeah,
can't always get that, can you?
So when
He's
the
very straight.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Buy the book.
Buy the book.
Yeah.
No, it's written right there.
Well, you got to pay your tax, mate.
Yeah,
Bloody
exactly.
hell.
Got to pay it.
You know,
Made it.
when the band disbanded,
Mhm.
did you feel a sense of I don't know, like a loss of identity, or like a bit of a loss of kind of purpose?
No, not at all. I felt. We've always said once you're a bass player at Powderfinger, you're always bass player at Powderfinger, or singer at Powderfinger. So I never felt loss of identity. It was weird. It felt like the big weight had been lifted off your shoulder.
Oh, really?
You had no idea that was there.
Oh, wow.
Until you take it away.
Fuck, eh?
It's like there was no pressure to go and start writing, no pressure to go in the studio, no pressure to go on a tour again. It was like, wow, I can go on a trip this year and I don't have to ask 5 or 6 people what dates I can go away. You know what I mean? All that pressure of not being and not being able to not being in control of your diary was the hardest thing for me. I really got sick of that by the end. So it was just a weight being lifted. I really embraced it. It was good.
Because that is something that would grind people down, not having the ability to make those sorts of decisions.
Missing
for
family
yourself.
weddings and stuff like that. Just that's shit. Missing some family's weddings or missing your mate's something special or missing your daughter's birthday or that's part of the job.
Yeah.
You know that, but after a while, gets to you. It got to me anyway.
So it would have been something that, probably had a bit of a part in the disbanding process, I suppose.
Absolutely.
We were all like, fuck, we need to, want to go
We
live
need
our
control
lives
of
a bit
ourselves.
more. Yeah.
Because as you said, looking at those other things I was saying with my wife and Bernard's wife, there was times where you should have been somewhere else. Shouldn't have been with the band. Should have been dealing with something personal.
Is it something you regret?
I don't know if regret is the right word, but
You're probably conscious of it. That
You just saying, like you brought it up a couple of times. It's sort of something that
it's
seems to play.
something I've changed. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
That's you can only. I don't sort of live in regret. I just live in that I can change it. So I've changed it now. I don't let any of that stuff go past without being involved.
Yeah, legit.
So
Yeah, no, I like it.
So when, I guess so after you've gone your separate ways and you've kind of got a bit of freedom, you get to go travel, you get to sort of do the things that you haven't always done. But at what point do you kind of sort of scratch that itch of needing to go to fulfill your day, like to fill your days again and do something sort of fulfilling or go to work?
Yeah, I felt that towards the end of we finished in 2010. I went overseas. I went fishing. I said yes to the fishing trip that I went barra fishing, and just did those things that I hadn't done. Went to Fraser with the mates for they've been going. I missed their last 3 years. And then by the end of the year, I sort of started thinking, well, I better do something now. I looked at a couple of businesses with a couple of friends. Like one was buying the Aussie car racing series, and then looked at buying a printing thing. And then I went, I know nothing about those things. And, then I started working on the idea of opening a music venue. So that was probably second year out, or second year away from the band.
Second year out. So, I mean, well, it obviously makes sense. You know the industry. When, like, you've got the... did you have the business now? Like,
no, I don't think so, no. I still don't know if I do. So.
Yeah, right. So how was that? So we're talking about the Triffid here.
Yep.
That's the first venue that you opened.
Yep.
Arguably the best music venue in Brisbane.
Absolutely.
How did that come about?
I just started throwing the idea around that I wanted to do a bar or something in Newstead area. I thought that was a prime area. And then I sort of came across the space thinking, I should just do a music venue because something I at least know and I'm ready to go back and to be involved in the music industry. And then, that space came up and then got the architect to draw some ideas, talk to Scott, because Scott Hutchison, as you've had in here. I think he had already an approval for an 8 or 10 story building on that site. And
so did he own the site at that time?
He owned the site, yeah.
Right.
So I gave him the nice big, colourful drawings. So he called me on Monday and said, "Can we do this? Can you do this?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely, we can do that." So
he called you.
I gave him the plans
Yeah.
on the Friday.
Yeah.
And then he called me on the Monday saying, "Can we meet? And can you do this? Can you make this happen?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Well, we can do that." And so that's when that started. So yeah, that was a couple of another year building or so, and Yeah, business nous. I don't know if I've got business nous, but I like the creative part of it, of designing and working with the architect and trying to understand what would work and the vibe of the place, I suppose. But business is something I'm learning now.
Yeah, right. We sort of got to, I suppose. At the time, did you know Scott's kind of his love for music?
Yeah, I had a fairly good idea. I met Scott a couple of times, and I know Paul, our manager, had been dealing with Scott about a couple of things and discussions about doing a festival hall or something like that. And so I knew Scott was around. So and I obviously know him a lot better now than I did 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, right. So how did you kind of navigate that? Because obviously, you come from the music industry, but you're not necessarily some whiz bang businessman, and you probably also have never run you've never run a venue before. How do you navigate a chat like those sort of changes in your life and taking on new projects? And
I think I was lucky to have a very good manager help me start it. The guy Brett, who was working at the Iceworks for years, and then I brought him across. And then he got poached to another company. But I think just having good people around you is probably the best thing. One of my business partners is the head of Deloitte in Brisbane, so he knows that. So
that helps.
That helps. I've got someone looking at the books.
The numbers guy.
He's very good at it. So yeah, and business partners just I think the strength is bringing some people who know certain things that I don't, and bringing them to the table.
Yeah, that was a big thing that Scott said in his podcast. He was bringing people in that were skilled in areas that he wasn't.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I've done. Just have people who know stuff that I don't. So,
yeah.
And leave the music and the vibe and the drawing and how it's supposed to feel to me, because I've seen 1,000 rooms around the world. So that sort of stuff. And how to create a really good team is something I've learned as well. How to create a really positive, good experience with the team, because it does give back. That's why people like the Terrific, because there's a friendly bunch of people down there working and they love their job.
Yeah.
Did you learn about the team with your I guess your direction to create that good team? Is it something that you learnt from your time with Powderfinger?
I think so. Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, when you look at Powderfinger, it wasn't just the five of us. There was also your management, your agent, your tour manager, your production manager, the whole team. We had 40 or 50 bed hotel rooms when we were on tour. So there's a big team there.
It must be a production. Jeez.
I think we had 5 semis at one stage, 5 semis going around.
Wow.
So you got a team, but your core team is one that we used to travel with overseas. And I think that I learnt that you get the best out of people when you talk nicely to people and respect. And the old days of yelling at your crew, I don't know why that was around. I just don't understand it.
Who brought that in?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like watching people, chefs, how they yell at each other. That would drive me nuts. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's what I think personally I probably did learn that. And I think as a band, we're already team orientated about our, we didn't fire anyone. No one gets in trouble.
Yeah,
we just talk it out. If someone did something wrong, we said, "What happened there, mate? Why'd you give me a guitar that was out of tune? Made me look like an idiot."
That was a bloody stitch up.
Yeah.
What?
Only to 50,000 people. Thanks.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you was, looking back on your time with the band, is it something that you look back and say, yeah, I really put everything in, got everything out from that experience? It was sort of like, oh shit, I probably didn't soak it up as much as I could have, or like, what's your reflection back on your time?
I think I got a lot out of it. I feel really privileged, quite honestly, that there was a lot of people have tried to do that and not had the success that we had. So I feel really privileged and fortunate that I got that, because my life would be completely different if I didn't. So I'm very grateful for that. That's how I think that's mainly what fulfills my thoughts about the band. I don't have any, necessarily any. There's a couple of regrets, but they're just decisions. But there's no major regrets, like certain things for me. Yeah,
cool. Because I suppose, there's plenty of things that just happen in day-to-day life that you look back on and say, oh shit, that was an event or a wedding or something that happened. He's like, oh, I didn't get as much out of that as I should have. But because when you guys were doing it obviously so often, I thought there might have been, gigs or something, and be like, oh, didn't really soak that up as much as I could have.
I mean, it's just hard. I don't really. Yeah, it's think about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, you've got
think about the good ones.
How many studio albums have you got? Seven. Like you've got 7. Yeah, incredible albums to remind you of.
When you book a holiday, right? When you book some time going up the coast, you don't think about the days it was raining, do you?
Well, I did. I had a week off last week.
Yeah, right. Okay, right,
And it rained every day.
But when you think it next year, you're booking, you're going, I always think if I'm
Sunshine.
booking, it's going to be sunshine and beautiful. It's going to be amazing. And that's pretty much how
Yeah,
I look
yeah,
back. And I don't remember the really shit gigs.
Well, why would you? You
try
just
not to.
Yeah, you only remember the good
Yeah.
times.
There's too
about
many of them.
anything. Yeah.
There's too many of them.
You don't remember the rainy days.
Where the guitar
Apart
wasn't
from
tuned.
the Italy one. Yeah.
Yeah, the 15
Yeah, that sounds like it was really the main sore point, bloody
in a
Italy.
metal club. It was awful.
Have you been back?
No. I've been back to Italy, but not playing. No.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah.
So you guys, I think one of the biggest things that I get out of music or artistic, expression, I suppose, is the ability to be. It's good for the soul, good for the mind. Is that? Did you feel that like in your time as a musician that you were able to kind of really express yourself and it was just a really good outlet?
Yeah, definitely. I think I love performing. I think performing is a really a fun expression and getting it together with 4 other musicians or whatever. And the feeling of putting all the other feelings when you're writing the song with the band and it comes together, something just clicks and you get that goosebump thing. You go,
Got him.
We're in the right direction here, guys. So.
This is a good one.
Yeah, so those sort of things are really, you do lap them up and love those.
How important do you reckon it is for people to have that, to find that, like in there?
It's really important. I think, whether it's a golf swing or catching a fish or kicking a footy, it's good to have that. It's important to me to consistently have that happen for some reason. Certain things just make me. For me, if I go to the Fortitude Music Hall or something, I see a band and okay, that's bloody awesome.
That's your fulfillment now.
To seeing you create it or work with the team to create it, and then to see it action. You sort of that's fulfillment for me.
Yeah,
and see happy people walking out with a big smile on their face makes me happy. I think it's important. It is to me. I can't talk for everyone, but I think once you've had it, it's something you probably do chase.
And is that, I suppose that's where you're talking about, like in the design sort of phase of like the Triffid and I'd imagine Fortitude Musical as well. That's your ability now to kind of express yourself artistically, I suppose.
I think, at the moment I'm sort of doing these budgets and stuff and go, this is not me.
It's that fucking accountant.
Where's my accountant guy? Fucking hell. It drives me nuts, that stuff, I'll be honest. But
got to play to your strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't trust me with accounts. To me, as soon as I can be creative again, something that, like last week I had a think tank for the Triffid team. And that's a fun day for me because it's expressing good ideas.
Spitball it, just throw it on the wall. Yeah.
Getting ideas. And that is a really good day for me. Much better than the day of budgeting and forecasts. 2020.
And is that something you kind of designed, like that sort of a think tank kind of scenario, like you do it your way, or is it like we're
just get in the room and
spitball.
Have my general manager sort of run it, but we have a program that we like to get out of, like don't get caught up in everything. But those ideas, you don't have good ideas until you sit down and talk to your team, and I think when you incorporate your team in ideas or decisions, they get a bit of ownership over it, and you get a bit more out of them.
I think more people should go to like venues like the Triffid. And I was saying before this, like I went to the Outpost on Saturday night and I saw an artist that I'd never seen before, that I'd spent all of Sunday explaining to Ed about how incredible it was. But I'd never
quite a creature.
I'd never heard of Bob Log the Third before.
Yeah,
my
You'll have to YouTube it, mate. It's out of control.
Unbelievable. Never seen anything like it. He had a fucking toaster on the stage and a loaf of bread. He was cooking toast. He's up there saying, I'm making toast. He was flicking toast out to everyone. Unbelievable. But I'd never heard of him before. Went with an open mind. I was like, well, we'll see how this is.
See how it goes.
Blew my mind.
Yeah, nice.
I was like, this is great. But I don't think enough people are doing that, are just like going and seeing stuff.
Seeing something creative. Something different.
Or that they've never heard of, or just going out to,
well, I'll admit that I've never gone and done that sort of stuff. I don't think, I went to that thing with my mate Slar, a couple of years ago now. That was in West End, wasn't it? You came that night.
What was that?
Boogaloo. Remember Boogs was doing the rap?
Oh, Boogsy. No, I wasn't there, but
But, I've never been to the Triffid. Right. I've been there for a feed and a couple of schooners.
Yeah, we have had a couple of schooners out.
We have had. But I should make it a thing to go to a live.
Have you walked in the room? Did you look in the room?
I think we did. Yeah, I think I have poked my head in there. Cool. Yeah, because it's the hangar.
Cool.
It's sick. Yeah.
It's arguably the best, the best sounding venue I think in Brisbane I've been to. Like it's just nailed.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
We spent a bit of effort, time, and getting that right.
But also, you stumbled upon the shape of it that just makes it perfect.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's rad.
When I walked in there, I went, this will be cool. You could just tell. I could see it.
Yeah.
So.
And you've been involved pretty heavily with obviously the Fortitude Music Hall, which is it only got finished last year.
Yeah,
wasn't
we'd been open 6 months, just on 6 months.
So how's that all going?
Great, really good. The response has been fantastic with the industry, and the punters like it. Most of it, you get some Facebook messages. You can't please everyone, unfortunately. But anyway,
that is so true though.
Some people shouldn't go out.
Yeah,
that's what I can say.
How do you? Does that? You got to block that shit out, don't you?
Well, it was an older crowd. I think it was 60. Average age was 65, 70. You go, just don't go out.
Yeah, just stay home, Gramps.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're Scott Hutchinson.
Unless you're different kettle of fish.
What do you reckon about people? I mean, when you guys were just cranking, did you have phones in your faces like when you were playing? Like,
yeah, towards the end, not at the start though. No.
What do you make of that?
It's weird.
Don't you think it's just ridiculous? Like, who's watching that shit back?
No one watches it back, do they?
It also sounds terrible on a phone.
Yeah. I mean, if
don't do that again.
That's what it sounds like.
I've done it just to show someone that they're missing out.
Yeah,
that's it, and then it's gone. I'd never watch it again.
Because it sort of plays into the hand now of people not living in the moment.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? It's really peculiar because it's fucking across the board. It's at all. Like, I went to a Foo Fighters concert a couple of years ago and everyone's there.
Yeah.
I'm just like, the fuck is the point of doing that? Even my wife was doing it. I was like, can you stop doing that, please? You're never going to watch that back.
Never going to watch it again, no. There was one gig at the Trifford where it was asked to no phones, and it was awesome. There's not one of those the whole night.
Who was that? The artist asked for no phones? Who was it?
David. It was Gillian Welsh, a country artist from America.
Yeah, right.
And her husband.
And they asked.
That's a good call.
Was
there good feedback from that?
Fantastic. I loved it because it was just everyone was calling him out. He's one of the best bluegrass guitarists in the world, David Rawlings, and it was just amazing. Not having flashes and people put their fucking hands up in the air.
Why do you think people do that?
I don't get it. But I've got kids and I don't understand half of what they're doing.
You are right, but you never show people, like, you don't show people the video like, I was there. Like, if you didn't have the video to show them, they wouldn't believe
that's
that
off my phone.
Yeah, that is me.
It's crazy, isn't it?
But it reminds me of oh god, I've just gone blank. But the new guitar, or the current guitarist and singer for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I remember he had a solo and he just dropped his guitar. He pulled his phone out and he just started filming the audience because they're all just there.
Yeah,
just.
Right.
And he's just making a point of it, like, fuck you, I'm not playing the solo. Like, this is what it looks like for me. So,
it's weird.
Talking about the Red Hot Chili Peppers, you're talking about how you won the Hottest 100
twice.
Yeah,
99, 2000.
Well, what were those moments like? Were you guys all together on the tins, just going, "Fuck, are we going to get this?"
We were playing. We were at Big Day Out, and the second one, and in Sydney, because it used to be on Australia Day, I think. That's so we got told, but we were told that we could announce it over the.
That would have been epic.
It's good. Yeah, I think Bernard's quote was, "It's the biggest music poll in the world." And we just came in number one, so that makes us the biggest band in the world.
Well, that's what I think too. And I've made a point of writing.
I've underlined it here.
I made a point of writing down bands like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Fatboy Slim, Rage Against the Machine, Pearl Jam, U2, and Coldplay.
It was back-to-back years, 99 and 2000.
Mate,
yeah.
But that's huge.
And I think Bernard's even won one himself. I think he won for Wish You Well.
Oh yeah, he did too.
So got 3 runs on the board.
How was that when he went out on his own? Like, was that
good. Really proud of him. It was awesome.
Yeah, right.
I love the record.
Yeah,
it was such a beautifully breakup record.
Yeah, right.
It was. I mean, it was a pretty tough, weird period in the band.
Yeah,
because he sort of disengaged, as you would naturally do. He was on tour and we were riding at home, and it wasn't the easiest thing to negotiate. But we got through it.
I bet it would have been weird for him on tour and stuff, sort of being
not having the backup,
not having the team there,
the mates here,
having a different band rock up.
Yeah.
But no, you know what? It was a bit of a riding period weirdness because the hardest thing was when he came back in, we were going, we don't want it to sound like Bernard's record, so it made things really quite tough in the room because there was a natural way to do things, but he just did that. So we were trying to pull this way, and I'm completely guilty of it. I was probably one of the ones who really pushed it to make sure it sounded different from Bernard's record.
Was it like an ego thing, saying, fuck, we don't want to be anything to do?
No, not an ego thing. Nothing to do with ego. It was more about an artistic thing that we wanted to try to challenge ourselves and make sure they're two different products.
Rather than just slipping into the easy path of going, we'll just play behind whatever you're doing.
That's more. It was definitely not an ego thing. It wasn't like, fuck you or anything. It was like, we have to, we thought, because of Bernard's record's been so successful, I thought, and probably Hoggy as well, thought we needed to go this way to be creative and be different from.
It's so interesting because that's such a harder way of doing it, I suppose,
it's
in a
a
way.
stupid thing. We're stupid.
But how do you raise that conversation? Like,
it's just like we try not to do it the same way, but as what we've
it
done.
makes sense. I can completely understand.
It's as I said, it's still it's an artistic thing. You try to challenge yourselves and write a different way.
Yeah.
Because Byrne wasn't there as well for some of it, not all of it. Just times he'd be away, and you don't just sort of sit go. Oh, I'm just going to go fishing because when he comes, you got to still work. And so the challenge was to try to create a different soundscape for the band, and it was a difficult period because it's also then sort of shut Bernard out a little bit, which wasn't the intent.
Yeah, right.
The intent was to.
So it would have taken a fair bit of managing all of that.
Yeah, it took a bit.
Did he feel a bit like ostracised to a degree?
I think so. And it wasn't a personal thing. It was never anything personal. Bernard loved the guy. But yeah, maybe it was just a writing thing that you're trying to create something a bit different.
Yeah.
And pull the band in different ways probably didn't need to be pulled. So
I guess, and then you probably go down the path that we were talking about earlier about sort of trying too hard to go
exactly
in
trying
one way.
too hard. That wasn't natural.
Whereas you guys have got like pretty deep roots,
Mm.
in a really distinct style.
Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely when he was on that, it definitely made a difference to how we did things. It wasn't the easiest.
Well, like when you're bringing out a new album, and you've obviously had success with the one previous, was there ever times where you guys like will pull a trigger on this one and think, "Fuck, how's this going to go?" Or was it sort of like you were validated by all your mates and your managers and stuff, and you're like, "This is going to fucking kill it"?
No, it's pretty much like that most of the time. How's it going to go?
Yeah.
I mean, I think Odyssey we had a pretty good idea because My Happiness was, I think my kind of scene got picked up by something by MI2 film soundtrack, and then my kind of
That's
My
right.
Mm.
How cool is that?
We weren't in the movie though. We thought we were going to be in the movie, but anyway.
What was it? What was the movie?
Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, Cruisy.
Yes, Cruisy.
Nice.
That's not his nickname.
Yeah. Cruisy.
Cruisy.
So.
Well, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
no, you're talking about
Cruisy.
you're talking about the getting the record out and saying, "Fuck, is it going to be any good?"
You just don't know half the time. You put out a single thinking, hope it goes all right.
Was there ever a nervous thing where you're like, "Well, we really need this one"? Or
Day You Come was a nervous one. Like we didn't think that. We thought that was a bit of a risk.
Really?
So did the management and record company thought this was a risky single, but it worked. So
yeah, right.
you just don't know. Everyone's got their own opinion.
And that's a big thing too. I mean, so many people with any sort of decision, it's sort of just you just got to back yourself, don't you? Because it's so easy to say, "Oh, it's easier not to do it." And just
Well, also, I think it'd be vastly different if because you got the team there, you got you got each other's back. It's like, fuck it, we're in this together. You know what I mean? Like if it's flop,
we're all going down together, boys.
We all flop. But if it was just if you're on your own, it'd be far more difficult to like.
It's frightening.
This is me.
Yeah, it's frightening.
Yeah, right. What do you make of the party scene these days? Being a venue owner and seeing young people go out and partying, and obviously Brisbane has got and most states of Australia have got really strict laws and behavioural changes and all that sort of stuff. We're talking mental health, I suppose. Conversation around this. Like, what do you make of, I guess, the party scene now and the way kids out there are doing it?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm not I'll go back to the laws. I'm not a big fan of the lockout laws. I never was. I think it doesn't solve anything. There was no evidence to support that those laws work. All they do is shut venues down and shut clubs down. The party scene, I'm not part of it, so I'm too old for it. But yeah, I think I see kids they come really late to shows and they leave after the show. I don't know what they're doing outside those. They're not hanging the venues. I don't really know. I don't know if drugs are too easy. I don't know what the deal is. It's pretty scary. I got young daughters, twin daughters of 15. They go to Splendour. I say, don't even take a Tic Tac off anyone. I don't care if it's in a Tic Tac box. That scares me. That sort of stuff. But I'm a believer of testing drugs and whatever keeps kids alive. I'm for it.
Right.
I don't think throwing overstating the laws and having lockout laws is an answer. I think having safe precincts is the probably best way to go. Making the Valley a precinct. It is a precinct. At least when you go there, you should know you're safe. But if it's policed and CCTV'd and that it's controlled, I think it's probably a better way to do it than than the latter.
Because I suppose, the conversation around substance abuse and, whatnot, like it's going to happen anyway, right? It's never going to change. But, yeah, obviously the way that we, I suppose, address it and, like you say, you're a big fan of harm minimisation, I suppose. But,
I mean, I don't know, ICE, what that, thankfully I have no contact with that. I'm not sure, I'm sure I know it's there, but that's a frightening thing because it's apparently so cheap, easy to get, destroys communities, destroys families. Well,
that's what hurts rural Australia so much.
Because it's Warwick and places like that, just
like
huge.
Longreach and stuff. I think it was Charleville. They were going to have the only rural rehab centre in Australia because it's just so rife out there. But it's a strange one because it's sort of like alcohol's going up again. Like the tax on alcohol's going up, and like I was talking to my parents about this the other night. I was like, look, like the drug scene, it's not going away like we've sort of spoken about. It's only going to get more prevalent due to the fact it's like so much cheaper than alcohol now. So it's like a really weird, hard time because we're obviously sitting here trying to have conversations about mental health and people to look after themselves, but what people are doing now for their, I don't know, not to their 9 to 5 and their breakout, sort of their bloat on the weekend. Used to be a carton of grog with the boys, and now it's that's changing. And like, how do we?
Education's the only thing you can do.
Especially,
I mean, ICE has to be. You have to educate people about that. Like, kids in schools need to be educated about that. And party drugs, what festivals and what what can happen. Interesting. I'm not sure if you guys will support me on this, but I was in Denver and California before Christmas, two of the states that legalized marijuana in America. It's awesome. Not because I want to go and smoke pot. It's just really relaxed. Places are relaxed and you can smell it in the lines. It's not a criminal thing. People having vape pot and you go in, it's like going to an Apple store. That's how it's like they're high end. They're not like sort of guy with dreadies and trying to sell you stuff. It's a really big market. It's huge.
Do you think Australia will get to that point?
I don't know. But it's got to be good for Queensland, be good for tourism, wouldn't it? Be awesome. But
the Great Barrier Reef is not going to be doing the job for much longer.
But smoke it.
Imagine how much more chilled the place would be. If people going out and having a bit of grass.
It is an interesting one because, I've had this conversation with my wife actually, that, there's like a massive misconception around what marijuana does to people, and it's sort of
it's a gateway drug.
It's a gateway drug.
But but it's sort of I've been heavily intoxicated before, and I've seen what alcohol has done to people, and has done to a lot of people. Like it's hurt a lot of my family members. I mean, I've plenty of Rosses out there that have been alcoholics, but I think I'd rather someone be hitting a bit of hooter rather than drinking their life away a fair bit more from sort of what I've seen. I think it's
I agree. I think you don't see families breaking up and domestic violence over hooter. Do you know? I mean, it's obviously topical now. It's really really be fucking sad.
That is true.
So if you're talking an nose approach and alcohol fueled violence, which is an issue which we're trying to fix and combat, maybe a hooter's not a bad not a bad thing.
Not many people that have been stoned and gone and beat someone up.
No.
Alcohol
is not the same thing.
Alcohol is like arguably the worst out of the lot, really, because it just
trigger points.
Well, if it was invented today, it'd be illegal. There's no way that
it would
have
be.
it.
And you're either and there's
no chance.
There's kind of it's like 50-50 down the middle. You're either like a really happy-go-lucky drunk, or you're just a fuckhead.
Miserable.
Yeah, and it's and
just a fucking.
Well, it's true. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
everyone listening to this, just have a bit of a think about that. Which side of the 50-50 you want?
Well, we talk about self-assessment, a lot in what we're doing and looking introspectively. Got that out, and actually kind of looking at your relationship, with different substances and how it's affecting you, and being honest with yourself. And I don't think a lot of, look, we've got lockout laws now. Obviously, there's always going to be dickheads out there. Yeah. Then there's always going to be, dickheads who think they can fight whether there's alcohol or not. But I think it's really about looking at your relationship with this kind of stuff, and
and being honest.
Being honest,
Shit,
I don't think enough people do that.
No, I agree with you.
Well, mate,
I'm definitely satisfied.
It's been a bloody. It's such an awesome insight, mate, JC. It's been really, really cool.
It's been fun, guys.
Appreciate your time.
No worries,
I hope you enjoyed as much as we did.
It was a lot easier. I thought this is going to be. I didn't know what to expect.
Is it?
Easy to talk to you guys.
Yeah, sweet.
Easy to talk.
I'd like final question. Like Powderfinger aside, you personally, would you like to play with the band again?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Really?
Yeah, totally. I love it. Yeah. Oh, we had Hoggy's 50th, Bern and I, and Darren's in Melbourne, Cogs's way, but we got Hoggy a guitar for his birthday, you know.
What'd you get him?
Oh, it's a Gibson Firebird.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, beautiful thing. Yeah, of course I'd like to play again.
Yeah.
There's I don't want to do the travelling and all that stuff again, you know, the whole machine thing, but I'd love to play, you know, a show again.
You're probably in a prime position too, because I don't know what the time frame is that you leave it, but
yeah, we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that time frame, and then you just bam, here we go again.
Who knows?
Yeah.
It's just one of the things, you know. We still have a great relationship as friends. So you know,
that's awesome.
And we said no, but we still are saying no. But you know, I would.
You personally,
I'd love to play because these guys are still playing. I'm not.
Yeah.
So Hoggy's in the church. Bernard's still doing Bernard. Darren is doing his arc thing, and I'm just watching people do it.
So when's the last time you picked up a bass?
Oh, I do the Predators with Hoggy.
Okay.
We're a 3-piece with the original drummer.
Righto.
The Predators.
We're just a bit you know, part-time band. I think we had a gig last year. We normally play 1 gig a year.
Yeah,
so,
right.
so that's my
just to keep it ticking over.
Ticking over. Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, well,
definitely. Because I said I still feel 10 years now. It'll be 10 years this year that I haven't played on big stage.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, of course I do it.
How exciting! You might be at the Fortitude Music Hall.
Oh, we do 10 nights. Yeah.
Do you reckon it'll ever happen again?
Don't know. It doesn't. No one's talking about it. Like in terms of what's going to happen. We've got 20-year anniversary of Odyssey No. 5 coming up, and on the back of that, the really good news is that you can hear it first here. We've got a record of unreleased material that we saved, not B-sides.
True shit.
That we said some stuff that just didn't, whether it didn't fit the tone of the record or we just didn't think it was right at the time.
Cool.
But we've kept, and we've got a full record of new stuff coming out.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that'll be later this year, just in time for Christmas.
Just a good stocking filler.
Just if you need any ideas. That's fantastic.
Awesome.
JC, mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you
guys.
so much. Really appreciate it.
Good luck,
Thank
guys. Well done.
Cheers.